Hello and welcome to Growing Up a Girl in Hartlepool. I'm Sarah Crutwell, anxious feminist auntie.
And I'm Dianne Casey, kick-ass matriarch.
And in the summer of 2023, we ran creative conversation workshops asking what it's like to be a girl in Hartlepool. We did this based on the Plan International UK data showing that Hartlepool is ranked one of the top 3 toughest places to be a girl.
Hartlepool is in the northeast, and it's not just politically interesting, it also highlights many of the policy changes and challenges facing the UK. Things like preventable illness, stagnant wages and poverty, educational challenges, concerns over social fabric, underinvestment. Hartlepool, unfortunately, is near the top of national tables for a range of lifestyle risks.
In this episode, we'll be doing a deep dive discussion on obesity, body image, social media, and the effects these have on mental health. We need some serious trigger warnings here. Some of what we discuss around body image, self-harm, domestic abuse, suicide, and mental health won't be suitable or comfortable listening for everyone, so please look after yourselves. We've decided to still include these stories because they are important. They're an important part of this conversation and they need to be heard.
We can't change what we don't acknowledge. There's going to be helplines in this episode, and it's important to remember this podcast is about thoughts, feelings, and experience. None of us are medically trained, so please make sure you do research, and if you need help, reach out, please.
If they're saying there's like obesity, I think it's a lot of it when kids just don't want to go out. Like I told you, my grandson doesn't go out.
Yeah, it's going to hit that, it is going to hit them.
Yeah, the kids who don't go out.
Yeah.
Because they don't know exercise. Where years ago, all you ever seen around here was boys with football.
Yeah.
And bikes.
Skateboards.
Street gangs.
We used to play two ball. I loved it. And hopscotch and all sorts.
Yeah, I loved Kirby.
Yeah, and there was always kids out, and now you don't see it.
Now you don't.
It's a shame, I don't know.
The obesity for me feeds into school, and the fact that we're forcing children from such a young age to sit in seats and listen and do as they're told, and then they reach a point and we're like, no, now you need to stop sitting in those seats and you need to get out and run around and do more. And again, such a conflicting message for children to hear.
Like when I was a kid, I didn't know what a takeaway was, did I?
No.
I didn't know going out for a meal. I never did it.
No.
Never ever. Now my kids, they'll say like, oh Mum, have you got £20 or £10? Yeah, we're going to go for a meal, we're meeting a few friends, and I think, yeah, I encourage, I say yes, do it, because I want you to, I never, and that's not saying we were poor and out like that, it was just, my mum cooked.
Yeah, it just wasn't done.
It was a cook,
We got a meal every night, where some kids and parents today just don't do that.
Yeah, only because half of them haven't got time. Because, like you say, I've been a single mum for 8 years, and I've always cooked. I've always put it in the slow cooker. However, there's parents who haven't, but
they know every menu.
They do, don't they?
It's not a treat. It's like every.
That's what ours was, a treat. Yeah. Like, oh, we're getting a fishy on Friday. Yeah. Where now kids are like, really? Can we have a pizza this week?
Have this? I don't want that. I don't want that, don't they? Because we missed out on all that when we were kids.
Yeah, we've overcompensated as a generation, haven't we, with ours?
Yeah. I do try and tell our Vicky.
Yeah.
Don't go too mad.
Yeah.
And she doesn't listen.
I think it might also be linked with education as well, because you can grow your own food and you can forage, but that's being confident in doing so and learning how to and having space to grow your own food. There's community groups doing it, but once again, it's having that time, and if you work in a minimum wage full-time job, you're exhausted after the week. You don't have time necessarily to go out and find these groups and grow food.
We were doing work within the youth service about healthy eating, and like obviously Hartlepool's a really high like childhood obesity rate, and we talked about the accessibility of fast food and how it's everywhere, and it's also like pretty cheap as well in comparison to like the healthier options. You are just going to go for the fast food option because it's cheaper, it's easier, you've got less to think about. Like we were talking about how fruit and veg goes off really quickly, but like the unhealthier stuff you can keep in your cupboard for like a year and it's fine. I feel like a lot of people are very like negatively like towards themselves. They don't feel comfortable in their body and then they take it out on other people. I know when I was little I was obese, and I only lost weight because I got my tonsils took out and I couldn't eat for like weeks, and that was the only reason that I lost weight. And it was just like the opinion of like my family and how they talked to me changed. It was like when I was little, my nickname was like Chunk, and that was like my nickname from my family. It was like, oh yeah, you're such a chunk. And then it was just like I lost the weight, and then it was just like, oh, my grandma was like still commenting on my weight, and it was just like I'd been to like my granddad's before we went to my grandma's, and she was like, oh, do you want anything to eat? I was like, oh no thank you, I'm like, I ate at my granddad's, it's fine. She was like, oh, don't worry about it, I was overweight when I was your age too, don't worry about it, I lost the weight. And I was just like, what the hell? I didn't even like, it's not as if I'm like skipping meals or anything, it was just like I have eaten. I feel like I have like an unhealthy relationship with food, but like I understand that and I'm like actively trying to fix it, but it's just like the repetition of it and other mental health issues have just got me in like a cycle, and it's just like, so I feel like yeah, I'm like really hypocritical because I'm quite fussy with like textures and foods, so like at the end of the day fast food's consistent, so like I feel like in times where I'm just like I have no idea what to eat, I'll always go for the fast food option because I know what it's going to taste like, look like, smell like, feel like in my mouth. So it's like I'll go for that instead of the healthier option that I don't know what it'll taste like, what it'll feel like in my mouth, because it's just easier. I think it's a lot of like, it's a amalgamation of issues why we have such a high obesity rate. I think it's a lot to do with costs and accessibility. So yeah.
Thank you so much. And just to pick up on the fact that it's very common with people who have a history of disordered eating or people who have neurodiversity to like that sameness of food.
Yeah, I've definitely like experienced the whole obesity thing. Like I'm quite, what's the word I'm looking for, a bit hypocritical with the whole thing, because like the whole like body positivity movement is all well and good, but a lot of these people that are in the body positivity movement encouraging people to be more, that it's okay to be morbidly obese, are getting sponsored by plus size clothing brands or brands that want people to keep weight on. And so it's that whole kind of thing where it's flipped from when I was growing up, it was if you were bigger than a size 10 you're ginormous. So like while I was growing up, it was, even though I was a size like 12, 14, I hated the fact I wasn't a size 10, which then led to eating disorders, because it was like, right, I was addicted to laxatives and what have you. And then I went through the whole bulimia thing for years. Then I started going to the doctors, going, look, I need something. And it was just like, oh, we'll give you these tablets. So they gave you these Orlistat tablets, and it was like, right, okay. Didn't do any good. And then I went for like psychology, eating disorder psychology, the whole lot. Now it turns out, after pursuing the whole, finding out about the whole ADHD, neurodivergent stuff in lockdown, that binge eating is a massive part of ADHD and neurodivergence. And in 50 years, not one person said to us, your binge eating is as a direct result of neurodivergence. And it was kind of like, what on earth? Somebody's addicted to cigarettes, if somebody's addicted to drugs, if somebody's addicted to drink, when they're walking down the street, nobody knows whether you smoke, take drugs or drink, unless you're really at a level where people are going to know. Whereas with food addiction, everybody feels that they've got a right to comment on somebody who's obese, and people do it all the time. then in the same respect, when you've got people encouraging people to be obese and like, this is okay, it's not actually okay, because it's kind of still, it's not helping people get to the root of why they're doing it. So it's kind of, it's okay to be like, as long as you're happy in your body and you're comfortable in your body, great. But when you're actively encouraging people to be a certain way, which a few years down the line is going to be massively detrimental to their health, and not encouraging them to get to the root of why it's actually happening, it's just going to cause more of a problem further down.
I think with the body positivity movement, I am just a bit sick of it now, because it's all like, I was looking in the shop before and it was like a size 14 is plus size now, but then when I was 6, not 16, it was a size 18 plus, and I'm like, I'm a size 14, and it's like whenever someone says plus size, it's like, you're fat, you're fat, you're fat, you're fat, you need to lose weight, hurry up, you need to lose weight, and it's like, well, I don't, in my, like, fat's not a bad thing, but if you're going to think it's a bad thing if that's the only thing you're hearing. And then the body positivity thing, it's like, you see it's always, I always see people who look nothing like me, there's not a stretch mark on them, there's not a lump of fat anywhere, and they're going, guys, all bodies are beautiful, and then they have to hunch over and shove themselves together and make it look like there's fat there. And it's like, but that's always been okay, like, and then they'll praise you when you lose weight, and it's like, you don't know why I'm losing weight though. I'm losing weight because I'm not eating my food, that's why I'm losing weight, because I'm skipping my meals. Why? And it's like, then I'm like, yeah, but if I do it, people will think I'm pretty, people will like me more. And it's, so even when you are thin, you still can't win. You can't win being bigger or smaller, because like, you're smaller, but 1, you could have an eating disorder, 2, you could be unhealthy, you're bigger, it's, oh well, you just eat all the time, just greedy, you need to stop eating all the time. And it's like a never-ending cycle, you can never just be. I wish it was more just like body neutrality. It's like, as long as you're happy with yourself, who cares? Don't comment on my weight, I'm not commenting on yours. Don't encourage anyone to be bigger or smaller, just let people be. It's none of your business at the end of the day. And then you have like, you have your grandparents telling you when you're 4 you need to lose weight. I'm like, I'm 4, I can't really do anything. And then when I was 5, I told my friend, I need to lose weight, I'm too big. And we were 5 playing princesses on the playground. Who even thinks of that when you're playing? And then you have your own father telling you, oh, you're just too fat to be wearing that, you shouldn't be wearing that. It would look better on your friend, she's skinnier, you need to lose some weight. And it's like, your full life of being told by your father and your nana and then the media that you can't look like that, you need to lose weight. And then all of a sudden everyone's like, oh, it's okay to be big. It's like, what am I meant to feel? Am I meant to feel happy in myself? Am I meant to feel horrible? Like, I can't win. I start to feel happy in myself, and then I see someone online go, guys, body positivity, and I'm like, just leave me alone. And then obviously I don't like going on TikTok or Instagram or anything, and if any of those videos come up I actively avoid them or like press not interested, because I don't want to see it, I don't care. I wish they'd stop putting models wearing the clothes online, because it's not going to look like that in real life. Just do what people do when you go on Vinted or something, put it on a hanger and hang it up, and that's what it looks like. They do it with shoes, they do it with trousers, can they not do that with tops and dresses? Like, it's like, no matter what you do, you just can't win with anyone.
The body positivity movement is having a lot of backlash, because it's really interesting to look into, but if you look into what it started out as, it was the fat liberation movement, which was people using the word fat as a descriptor. We've put all these horrible connotations on it, and because of all this fat phobia and fat shaming. And the fat liberation movement was not about love your body. It was about you can't discriminate against somebody because of their size. All these stereotypes and labels that come, the lazy, that if you just exercise, it's not how the body works. For some people, absolutely. When we're talking about disability, chronic illness, a lot of medications make people gain weight. So much weight gain comes from mental health that blaming and putting these labels on people is just digging a deeper hole for them. And there's a whole industry that relies on our insecurities. The same way that you're being told that this size 16 model is plus size when she's actually foaming up her clothes, because that's what they do. If they're not the right size, they put foam in to make them the right size. So those clothes literally aren't made to fit a real person of that size. Everything is geared up to make us feel shit so that we put more money into those industries.
I think social media plays a big role in that, on having this perfect body, or so-called, perfect body, body image and all that. Looking at social media all the time, I think that plays a big part in young girls' lives and how happy they feel. Because if they haven't got that perfect image, then I don't know. Because I work in a school and I see it. I work in a secondary school, and you just hear girls all the time wanting to be perfect, having their nails done and their makeup perfect, even when they're just in school. But they're influenced by these people they see online.
Social media can be good, I think, for communication and learning what's happening. However, if it's kind of abused, you're on it too much, it can influence you. But sometimes it's good influence, not always.
In my opinion, with the indicator, they should have went to looked at statistics in hospitals and the effects, rather than just saying literally obesity. But yeah, does that have an effect on mental health? Does that affect the strain on the NHS in certain departments and things like that? You'd think it'd be broader.
Yeah, I think learning with obesity, it's linked with life expectancy as well.
But that is an indicator on its own.
Yeah.
Why do we need both?
You're preaching to the choir.
I thought social media would be the biggest factor in what the girls were affected by, but it's the families. This has made me think about the times I've commented about my appearance and weight, or skipped a meal, or my forever dieting, and the effect that will have had on my children. I mean, us parents get blamed for everything, but it is what our children remember. So I'm not at an age to be on the TikTok body positivity train. Naively, I presumed that it was a great thing, that younger people had messages about loving your body and not defining yourself by your body. But after these conversations we had in the summer, I realised it was all quite toxic. A trend next to adverts pulling yourself into control pants and girls that were around a size 12 sticking out their bellies. I'm not into body shaming, but I wanted more. I expected better. But once again, if I was watching this as a young person, even now, I feel the pressure that I'm not ideal. But hearing this from girls and the impact that the family members' comments made, I have realised my hatred of my body has left my children with issues. Like, families, what you say really matters more than TikTok. And even when I've tried positive statements like, oh, you've lost weight, well done, or I've said foods are bad and rewarded good behaviour with food, it's really made me think. I need to step it up. It's food for thought.
So as you heard in that clip, I have quite strong opinions on the BMI on which obesity is based. The BMI, Body Mass Index, is a flawed and controversial mathematical equation funded by diet companies and refuted by science. As I said, I have quite strong opinions on that, so I'd encourage you to do your own research. But in my mind, obesity scaremongering and body image issues in general have a huge impact on the mental health of our girls. And mental health is another topic we heard a lot about from our groups. A UK poll done in 2023 showed that 9 in 10 7 to 21-year-old girls feel worried or anxious, and only 17% feel very happy. This is the concludings of a Girl Guiding survey. This survey also calls for media literacy lessons to tackle body image-related harms, a ban on showing weight loss and appearance-related adverts in under 18s, and altered images in social media and online advertising being labelled.
I think mental health, obviously, I think it's just not just an issue for women as well, and I know it's an issue for men. Obviously, we've had like a lot of male suicides recently, and I think it's just an issue for everyone. I don't think it's gendered. I think obviously there's different experiences depending on the gender, but I feel like mental health is not a gendered issue, I think.
Like ever since lockdown, I think people have definitely 100% struggled throughout it.
Yeah, it was year 10. My granddad was in end of life care. It was COVID, it was exams, it was like that whole amalgamation of everything, and it was just the school were, for lack of a better word, crap. They really didn't care. I got like a lesson out, like a 5-minute like out pass, just to be like, oh yeah, if you're crying, you don't have to ask permission to leave the lesson, you can just go. But there wasn't any like, oh, we'll give you assistance with that. It was just like, yeah, you can just leave the lesson. So I was like,
you can go cry on your own somewhere.
Yeah, and go cry in the toilet, yeah. And it's just like really awkward, like, because obviously in schools teachers do like toilet checks in the middle of lessons, so it was really awkward being like a teacher knocking on the toilet door and be like, get out, go to lesson, and be like at top of the door crying, be like, I've got a pass, and like shut the door again, I'd be like, no, please. Yeah, and I think I got like one session with the school nurse, and it was like, oh yeah, well, everyone feels that way, you know, everyone feels about stress and exams, and it was just like, yeah, I know that, but I think I'm feeling it a bit worse than everybody else. And it was just like, oh yeah, well, if you ever feel like self-harming, just get an elastic band and put it on your wrist and that'll just fix everything. And I was like, well, not really, it's still not giving me the release that my brain wants it to have, so it was a bit like, yeah. And obviously I went into like my role wanting to change the mental health services in schools, and it was just like, when we made our initial report, we did like a survey and then we created a report, and it was just like, we got a response from like one school. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it was just like, they know it's a problem, they're very aware that there's a problem, but like a lot of blame's been on COVID. You know, oh yeah, well, everybody felt lonely and sad during COVID, like, it's normal, it's fine, you'll be fine. Well, I feel like, especially in like my family, is a very like suck it up and power through attitude. Like, we're a really female dominated family, so I can't really say much about like how a male view on it, but it's very much like, yeah, suck up, like, get on with it. I feel like when my mum saw like marks of self-harm, I got no sympathy. It was like screaming the house down, like, why have you done this? Like, do you want to be on medication? And all I could say was, yeah, I do want to go to the doctors and I do want to do it. And it was just like, it was the male figures in my household. My stepdad was the only one who cried for me that day. So that was a big thing. Sorry. And like, I feel like my mum's gotten a lot better recently, but during that time it was like awful, and I think that's just been with like her own experiences. Like, after she had my sister, she suffered with like postpartum depression, so like she knows what it's like to have like mental health issues, but I think she just she says to me and my sister that she doesn't want us to be labelled, because there's a lot of like, if a young person has depression, anxiety, there's a lot of like negative viewpoints that come of them, and she says, I don't want you to be labelled because I don't want people to have a bad opinion of yours. So she's coming from it from like a very protective way, but doing it in a very bad way.
It's like every time I do try to talk about it, it always ends up in a fight, because talking to my mum is like talking to myself. It's like, it's literally, we're talking to ourselves when we talk to each other, because and we're so similar that it doesn't really work sometimes. And I told her the other day, you realise I don't talk to you about any of this because I feel like I'm a burden to you. I feel like I'm shoving it on you, because it always kind of ends up in a fight, or you saying that's not what I intended, but I don't really care what your intention was. I just want you to know how that made me feel. Like, you tell me how I make you feel, so can I not do the same without there being any backlash? And like, or she's just trying to like find a solution to the problem, and sometimes I don't want a solution, I just want her to listen. I don't even want her to say, I'm sorry you feel like that, I just want her to say, okay. I feel like I've always kind of had a mental health issue as far as I can remember, because I've always suffered with how I look, and then I started getting acne, and that was another thing that was just piled onto my body that I didn't like. But I didn't really know what mental health was like at the time until my mum and dad split up, because it just wasn't talked about. It was shoved under the rug. I couldn't tell my dad anything because it would get used against me. And then he didn't think mental health was an issue, so we couldn't talk about it. And then at the same time, my mum was getting really depressive and like getting all in her head and everything, but she couldn't talk to anyone about that. And then they split up, and even though everything was piling on me, like, oh, they split up, I feel like this, blah, 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 it was finally a chance for me to just take a breather and actually try to process things, because we were never allowed to process things. I feel like I'm only just starting to process the domestic abuse from my father, amongst other things, and it's been 5 years since they've split up now.
I think it's silly how you all get told to use things like Couth and text services. There's much more demand, isn't there, than they can cope with, and these are some of the things that you get.
And no one answers you.
On the phone. Yeah.
And then CAMS is awful, like, you're ill but you're not ill enough. That's literally what they said. Yeah. Like, I was ill, but I wasn't ill enough.
I also feel like, along with mental health, a lot of female neurodivergence is overlooked. It's just like, obviously, I know I've like looked it up like religiously, that like from a young age, like young girls with neurodivergence quickly learn a mask. They like to copy, they copy the people around them who are not neurodivergent, and then it's suddenly you get lost. And I think it's like my mum's like sent me like a TikTok once, and it was like signs of ADHD and autism in girls, just like, oh, this is so you when you were little. And then it was like the conversation stopped there, and I was like, oh. Like, my boyfriend raised concerns, and it was just like, yeah, here's the assessment form, there you go, I can see it, off you pop. His case wasn't deemed like important enough, but he still got to like the consultation process, and it was like, I've asked, and it's just because I get good grades and I'm not disruptive in my lessons, so it's like, you're not an issue, you're not a problem. I think that's like a lot of like mental health stuff. If you're deemed to be like doing like good, or like if you're deemed to be like, you know, you're doing well in like, or you're doing well in your job, or you know, you're getting the grades that you need, and it's like you're just overlooked. It's like when those standards start to slip, it's like that's when they're like, this is a concern. It's not when it's affecting you, it's when it's affecting like the environment around you that it kind of becomes a problem. So I don't know if that's Hartlepool specific, but like that's a lot of what like I've got, and like it's gotten better recently. Like I feel like just like we've still got a long way to go. It's not all like, obviously there's a lot of issues with accessibility of mental health services and stuff like that. Like it's like you have to be on like the verge of suicide before CAMS would even consider you. Like I've had a friend who tried to kill themselves, and then the school expected them in the next day, and it was just like, because we were doing our GCSEs, and GCSEs are more important than your mental health. I think a lot of people are taught that to just like forget about your mental health for a second. You've got an exam, and it's like people will make yourself like I'll make myself physically ill with stress, and there's a lot of pressure to do well. I think if you're like deemed a high achiever, you're expected as a student, you're expected to have a job, do your A-levels, and then have free time as well. And you're like, I can't do that. I can't bloody do that. I don't have the time. So I just end up like in like I have like really, really good like spells, and then I have just really downward spirals, and then it has like an effect on the people around me, and I'm like, I'm really sorry, but I don't know what's wrong with me. And like, they can't do anything to help. They're not trained professionals. Like, I went to like anybody who gives me the chance, I'll just give them everything. And then at the end I'm like, I'm really sorry for that. I don't know where all that came from. I'm like, I do know, but it's just like having the freedom to talk, I think is like a really liberating experience a lot of people don't have. I feel like a lot of people would feel a lot better if they had a setting where they felt free to talk. I feel like having the opportunity to talk is the first step, and it's a really nice step to take.
When we gave one of our participants a chance to say what she wanted to say about being a girl in Hartlepool, this is what she had to say. Get comfy. It's a bit of a long one, but it's really interesting.
I think especially in this town, it's very hard to just be a girl or a woman, and there's so much. You're told from being like 5, you're going to be a woman someday. You're going to be a woman, and you just get scared. And then I remember being like 11 and being told you need to start wearing a bra, and I was like, I'm not wearing a bra, because I was so scared to grow up and to have to like deal with changing. And it was, although whenever I asked a question, my mum would answer it in the most age-appropriate way she could, so nothing was ever hidden from me. But at the same time, I always had like such a stigma about like growing up as a female, because you're going to get a period, you're going to become moody, you're going to become mean, you're going to be a bitch, you're horrible if you have a period. And then I was like, well, I can't ever tell my dad about that because he makes fun of my mum when she gets it, so what's he going to do to me? And then he did make fun of me. But at that point, I felt comfortable to go to my mum, oh mum, I've started my period, because my mum and dad weren't together, and I felt so much safer talking to my mum about that. And then you're at school and all you hear from lads is, you're on your period, that time of the month. I'm like, it's not. You've just called me a slag, so I'm going to have a go at you. You've just tried to lift my skirt up, so I'm going to have a go at you. And it's like, no matter what you do as a woman, like, you can't really win. And everything is, you have to be better. And if you go from, you're trying to build your way up in the world, and then you get to the next stage, but you're never allowed to falter, you're never allowed to go back to zero. You have to always get better, because everyone's telling you aren't allowed to fail, and if you fail, then what's the point of you even being there? You wanted the space to talk, you've got the space to talk, but now you're not talking. Get out then. It's not your place. And it's so hard to just be sometimes. Like, I want to wear the frilly dresses, but I want to wear the shorts, and I want to wear the jeans, and I want to wear pink and blue, but then you wear it and you're doing it for attention, and everything is always male-centred. You're wearing pink, it's because you want men to look at you. You're wearing blue, oh, you want to be one of the boys, don't you? You can't win. You can't just breathe. And everything is just so overwhelming and loud and scary. And then I've been catcalled more when I've been upset and crying than when I'm not. And that really gets me even more, because not that they should be doing it anyway, but what is so appealing about anyone in the middle of the street crying, or anyone in the middle of the street who's clearly upset and angry? Why is it your place? And why would you say it anyway? It's so dehumanising. And then to hear people say, I'd love to be catcalled, I'd love the attention, or you wouldn't. It's disgusting. The difference between someone saying you look pretty and someone saying, I want to fuck you, it's the consent, isn't it? Like, someone's telling me that I look pretty, given the context. Someone screaming, "I want to hook you," out of their window of their car is not like uplifting. It's so degrading and disgusting, and sometimes I just hate being a girl or a woman or whatever. I just hate it because I feel like I would be so much so less insecure if I was a boy, because it's fine for them to be bigger, it's fine for them to be angry, but I'm not allowed to be angry, but I'm not allowed to be too happy. I can't be passionate about anything. I can't do anything without it being you're emotional. And like, when did having emotion become losing rationality? When did that ever happen? Like, you can be angry and still rational. You can be happy and rational. Nothing's black and white. It's so much more than that. And I did have that phase of I'm not like other girls, I hate pink. But then slowly I've started liking it again because I like it on my terms, because I was told I wasn't allowed to like it, and I was told to be a good feminist you didn't like pink and you don't like makeup and you don't like being stereotypically girly. But you can like that. You can like whatever the hell you want to like, whatever makes you feel nice. And then I never felt insecure about looking at Barbie. I never thought that was how I looked like, because I understood she wasn't real. I knew she wasn't real, so I didn't want to look like her. And then everyone was telling me she's bad for feminism. Like, when was she ever bad for feminism? She done whatever the hell she wanted. And when did you can be anything become you have to be everything? Like, just let me breathe.
So we're talking about topics which are not spoken about enough. And we thank all of our speakers for talking so openly and honestly with us.
It was an absolute pleasure to meet and work with you all. So here's to you and how amazing you all are.
We are more than what others perceive. We define ourselves by our strengths, values and resilience. We're going to share something now that's going to put a fire in your belly and hopefully make you stand and say, I am
funny, I'm creative, I'm quiet, I'm a hard worker, I'm amazing, I'm brave, I'm unique, I'm fun.
I am intelligent.
I am opinionated.
I am competitive.
I am a mother.
I am caring.
I am adventurous.
I am funny.
I am stubborn.
I am dyslexic.
I am curious.
I am loyal.
I am proud.
Gay, colourful, loyal, trans.
I'm complex.
I'm an animal lover.
I am artistic.
I am diverse.
I am kind.
I am sympathetic.
I am a youth worker.
I am loving.
I am spontaneous.
I'm impatient.
I am outgoing.
I am passionate.
I am loyal.
I am down to earth.
I am remarkable.
I am loud.
I am happy.
I am colourful.
I am fun.
I'm a massive worrier.
I overthink everything. I'm opinionated, I'm stubborn, I'm loyal and I'm impatient.
I am loyal.
I am helpful.
I am caring and I am loving.